The small satellite market first is defined in satellites that are under 500 kilos, but most importantly, the very small satellites under 50 kilos. It's a very dynamic sector today. It's enjoying double-digit growth for the next few years, and it's been very interesting because it allows many people to come into this sector with much reduced costs. So we do all kinds of applications: Earth observation, telecommunications, science, technology. So it's this space sector, but with very small satellite solutions. AAC Clyde is a satellite integrator, a mission provider. So what we do is we provide platforms to carry payloads into orbit. We have a complete range of platforms between 1 and 50 kilos. We have in the CubeSat form factor, we have 1U, 3U, 6U, and 12U, and then we have the InnoSat platform that is developed with OHB of Sweden, and that's a 50 kilo class platform that is not in the CubeSat form factor. We provide a full mission service, end-to-end service from the definition of the specifications, and if so desired, launch and operations of the satellites in orbit. And we also supply in between any kinds of subsystems that satellite integrators might require. Well, our drivers are to enjoy this growth that the sector is experiencing and be leader in that subsector of the 1 to 50 kilos and maybe slightly above. We want to be the leaders in product quality and provide reliable, tested platforms that can be useful for business plans and for long-term operations in orbit. So our products define a life of 5 years in orbit, and that is supported through testing and documentation. So those are the drivers. Apart from that, we are aiming to do a full end-to-end service, and that's also a main driver. So we want to provide full solutions to diverse players. And of course, we believe this would be done through constellations, and constellations is a driver because it's the way of generalizing the service all over the world or for many users, and that's also a driver. The environment in this sector, if people look at it, it's very atomized. There are many players that are very small, many spin-offs from universities and labs and this type of thing. But in reality, there is not that many that are capable of doing full missions, full integration, and maybe there is 6 or 7 of us. The closest reference, of course, here in Europe is ÅAC Space of Denmark. And then there are a few players in the US that are enjoying quite a bit of success because the sector there is very good. But Blue Canyon, York Space Systems, that is also a customer at the same time as another player. Atco, Maryland, these are the relevant players. And then there are many other players that are vertically integrated, or a few other players. And of course, the prime example of that is Planet, that manufactures and operates their own satellites. And there are a few that are coming online for these large telecom constellations that are going to be deployed in the next few years, like OneWeb or the SpaceX constellation. The key catalyst is probably the multiplication of opportunities for launch. So the platforms, the solutions are increasingly more and more mature, and the capacity to produce in numbers to form important constellation is coming online. But the rockets is up to now, it has been a problem because there are not that many. But now with Rocket Lab coming into service on a regular service any day this month, Virgin Orbit, Vector, others, there's quite a few initiatives for the smaller rockets. And that will enable to have many opportunities to reach orbit and also reach it at the time when it's required, not have to wait, because up to now the traditional rockets, what you have to do is wait for a launch that is available. So that's probably the key development that we'll see in the next 12 months, and that will provide a cascade effect, because if we have many and easy launch opportunities, then constellations will be deployed, and then constellations will be built, and we will build them and others, and the whole economy of low Earth orbit will mature. It will become a lot more real. The differentiating factor would be to provide reliable solutions. And with that reliability, with that testing that enables us to ensure longer lifetimes, we're also confident to move into other orbits apart from low Earth orbit, like medium Earth orbit or lunar or interplanetary solutions. Lunar interplanetary are a bit more in the future, but medium Earth orbit, we think it's going to be a key differentiator, and it's going to enable different types of applications, because from medium Earth orbit, ensuring visibility of satellites, it's a lot easier than from low Earth orbit. So the numbers in the constellations need to be reduced or can be reduced. And then that would be an interesting move. It is very relevant because it allows non-traditional space players to access a space. Basically, what it allows is if someone has an idea for a business application, a service, something to do in space, this person or persons, this group, don't need to worry about the space part. We can take care of the whole space part. We can design the satellite, we can build it, integrate it, we can test it, launch it, and operate it, and allow the operator, the service provider, to concentrate in the service and to deliver their product, whatever it is. That way, in a very simple way, we take care of the space bit and the service provider concentrates on their service. And that, of course, hopefully will allow many non-space players to access a space and to, again, contribute to this low Earth orbit or medium Earth orbit economy that we want to have in being. We are more optimistic. We are seeing that many of our customers that are systems like Kepler or NSL have already started the second deployment of satellites. They've either come up with actual requests for proposals or requests for information, or they have obtained the required funding to deploy further. They've been testing their satellites in orbit, like such as the Kepler satellites that have been in orbit for a few months now, and they're working very, very well. The reliability, and this is something that, of course, we're very proud of, is over 99%, and that is very important for a small satellite. So it seems like everything is maturing, and it seems like it's fitting the view we have, where at first there were like 1 or 2 satellites. Now we're doing 2, 4 satellites, and very soon we'll be doing tens and hundreds of satellites. And of course that is key for our future development, because it's where we based our growth strategy in deploying large numbers of satellites and constellations.